Hello, hello, hello. My name is Christian Brown, and it's an honor to be here speaking with you today at GatherVerse EU Summit. I'm joining you live from Paris, France, and I'm not originally from Paris. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S., but I had a calling and a desire to move to Europe and work on a startup. Very random, I know. But my story has a lot to do with the topic I'll be speaking on today, which is mental wellness in the metaverse. And so before diving into the talk I have prepared for you all today, I want to give you a quick background on me, who I am, and why I'm here today, coming to you live from Paris, France. So like I said, my name is Christian Brown. I was born in Atlanta and spent 25 years of my life there. And through that journey, I learned a lot. And maybe the biggest lesson that I learned is that you can't change your mindset without changing your environment, right? You can't change your mindset without changing your environment. And I grew up in a city where I felt like I was not safe, and I felt like something bad would always happen to me just because of the stories that I saw of my friends, loved ones, and also strangers. And it's not a great place to be mentally or physically. And so over time, I developed a plan to venture out and change my environment, change my living situation. And because of a amazing group of mentors and just the access to technology and the access to information, I was able to formulate a plan and execute a plan to move to Paris. And so I'm here in Paris working on a startup called Blimish. And really our mission is to revolutionize the way the world views mental health and therapy. And I've been in Paris for the last 8 months. And since I've been here, I've been traveling not just around Paris, but also to different European countries and also to the Middle East with the goal of understanding the global wellness climate today. And so through that journey, I've been speaking with many different psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, and different wellness practitioners, and really building a community and educating myself, because I don't have a background in psychology. I didn't go to school for this, but what I do have is a deep passion for humanity and a care for human sustainability. I want to see the human race live a very long time, and I know that at this rate that we're going, it's not looking so good. But I am hopeful that technology can be an avenue for global healing. And so I'll talk a little bit about that today. So let's get into it. Mental wellness in the metaverse. And so I think it's important to first start out with the definition and the difference between mental health and mental wellness, because these two terms, they are used differently, sometimes used interchangeably, but according to sources, they do have two different definitions. So according to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the US, they describe mental health as our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. So your mental health is really the state of well-being, while mental wellness, according to the Global Wellness Institute, is an internal resource that helps us think, feel, connect, and function. It is an active process that helps us to build resilience, grow, and flourish. So as you can see, there are some similarities between those two definitions, right? Both mental health and mental wellness, of course, involve the mindset. And our mind is kind of our control center. And it affects how we feel. It affects how we act. It affects how we connect with others. And it affects how we live about our daily lives, right? That control center is so crucial and so important to just who we are as human beings. And so, in my opinion, that control center should have most of our attention and our care when it comes to the information that we're taking in, and also when it comes to the actions and the habits of our daily lives. And one thing that I want to note in this mental wellness definition is that it says mental wellness is an active process, right? It's an active process. And to me, an active process requires an intentional set of actions. An active process is something that is continuously ongoing, day after day after day. It's something that builds over time. So when it comes to an active process for your mind, it's very important to be aware of what those actions are. And so a lot of platforms now who are tackling this issue of mental health, they are platforms that help people to meditate, help people to gain healthy sleeping patterns, help people to also find a therapist, right? And all these things are different sets of action that improve the active process of mental wellness. And so as we're entering into this new wave of technology where we're incorporating Web3, we're incorporating crypto assets, blockchains, incorporating the metaverse, there's a question that comes to mind that myself and my friends have really been researching and coming up with ideas for. And that question is, the metaverse, how can the metaverse create new processes for improved mental health, right? How can the metaverse create new processes for improved mental health? That's an important question because this new term, the metaverse, is scary to some and it's really exciting to others. And I find it so interesting. And so here in Paris, I've been able to host small events, about 20 to 25 people, where I bring them together and we have open dialogue about today's issues. And so I had an event last month and the topic was mental health and the metaverse, right? Ironic. That was the topic. And it was about an hour and a half long debate. And there were some people who were really passionate about how negative the metaverse is for our future, right? In their minds, they saw the metaverse leading to people just being inside of this virtual world all day and not ever going outside. And it's a serious problem, right? It's a problem that requires our attention. It requires our thought. It requires solutions. And you also have people who see the benefit of the metaverse in terms of improving education, right? There's research that shows that education inside of the metaverse improves the attention span of learners. And that's something that can be used when it comes to education about mental health, right? And so there's two sides of the coin, right? There's two sides of every coin, but at Blimish and with the entire GatherVerse community, I believe that we are striving towards this human first metaverse to where we value the wellness of humans. And one idea that we are thinking about is how can we reimagine therapy, right? What does it look like? Therapy reimagined. And so there are a few benefits that I took the time to make a list of, and I've gotten these also from some credible resources and these professionals that I learned from. And the first thing that I want to talk about is how virtual reality in the metaverse, it provides anonymity and confidentiality. And there's always this barrier to therapy when it comes to being vulnerable and putting your whole self out there. A lot of times it's easier to be anonymous and say whatever you want to say. But you want to know that as you share your heart, it's confidential. Your thoughts and your feelings won't be out there for the world to see. That information won't be sold to big corporations. There's something important when it comes to therapy reimagined. But also, like one of the pillars of that GatherVerse focuses on is accessibility, right? VR makes exploring programs, therapists, and groups more accessible. Imagine if you can just log in on your computer and be immersed in a world. Or imagine if you can put on a headset and be immersed in a world and then take it off and be out. That accessibility, I believe, will enhance the entire mental wellness journey. And also, when we think about virtual avatars and digital environments, and as another layer or removes a layer, it makes it easier to be vulnerable. And there was a study that was done at an organization, an institution in China. And I can share this information if you reach out to me. I don't have it on the slide. But basically, they did an entire study that talks about digital avatars. And they came up with a few different theories that show how gaming avatars can support a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And it's very cool information. I should have put it on the slide, but I didn't. But there's evidence that shows how virtual avatars can help encourage healthy lifestyles. And so lastly, VR and the metaverse, it creates an opportunity to recreate the shared, immersive, and interactive experience that therapy is. There's an opportunity to design a world that makes humans feel comfortable and encourages them to share openly. And one thing that I love about psychology and the study of the mind is that there's so many different layers, right? The brain, the mind is so complex that you can spend your entire life, and some people do spend their entire life studying the mind and studying the brain, and they still come up with new ideas and new revelations about what is best for our minds. And one thing that really has encouraged me the past few weeks is the idea of ecotherapy, right? The thought of taking your therapy sessions outside and being in a place where there is no silence, right? Because when you're outside, there's never silence. There's either the wind, there's noise from outside, people talking. There's always noise outside. There's always life outside. And what that does is it channels something in our brains that make us feel like we're not alone. And loneliness is a huge factor to depression, anxiety, and loneliness is not fun. And so this idea of creating a reimagined therapy using VR technology is exciting for that aspect as well. And before I go, I want to give you a definition or just a thought to take with you, right? The metaverse is another medium for human expression and interaction. If we can leverage global accessibility, we can encourage global healing. Let me show you that again. The metaverse is another medium for human expression and interaction. If we can leverage global accessibility, we can encourage global healing. So my friends, please take this statement home with you. Take a screenshot, type it in your notes. The metaverse is another medium for human expression and interaction. If we can leverage global accessibility, we can encourage global healing. And I think you all can agree with me when I say that the world is in need of healing. Healing from war, healing from sickness, healing from loneliness. There are a lot of things that that the world needs to heal from. And in order for that to happen, it's going to take me, it's going to take you, and it will take the help of our fellow global community to really put a focus and place an emphasis on mental wellness. And so with that, I want to thank you from Paris, France, with love. Thank you so much for tuning in today to GatherVerse EU Summit. Thanks for watching this talk. And I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or go to blimish.com to see more about what we're doing. We're very excited to show what we've been working on. And right now we're having conversations, right? Conversations are an avenue to learning and understanding and gaining wisdom and also hearing people's hearts. So with that, thank you. May our gather be well.